Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here an article coming from Russia Today, and there are some statements made by Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, during his meeting with the war correspondents in the Kremlin. And he is asked questions, and he obviously answers them at his best, the best of his abilities, I guess. And he's asked about the fact that the Ukrainians in Ukraine, or the leaders of Ukraine in Ukraine, are removing a statue of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, and they replace it with Stepan Bandera. And Putin calls this move stupid in a way because he thinks, well, and he argues, not thinks, probably he also thinks if he argues, that he claims that Stepan Bandera was a Nazi collaborator. And he said, well, you don't want communism, I understand, even though Lenin was also, by all measures, a little collaborator, and not only collaborator, but he committed a lot of crimes, but you see, he was of the ideology, if you want to make a scrambled eggs, you have to break a few eggs. So, let's go to this article and see how Putin will say, well, you don't want the communist, but you want the Nazi, basically. And I will discuss his statements. Putin blasts Kiev's reverence towards Nazi collaborator. This is from Russia Today, June 13th, 2023. The Russian head of state says he is surprised at Vladimir Zelensky's support for neo-Nazis, according to Russia Today. Monument of Stepan Bandera in Lvov. Well, Lvov will be taken by the Poles, so that's gonna go out because this guy did something to the Poles very bad. So this insults not only the Russians, but insults the Poles as well. I will show you in a minute when I'm going to discuss this, Stepan Bandera. And this is obviously Wikipedia, which if things will be here really off, will not be allowed here, will be sanctions. And in this age where is a fad popular to be pro-Ukrainian, things that I'm going to read from here to you will not stand. And he says, Russian President Vladimir Putin has criticized Ukraine's decision to remove Soviet leader Vladimir Lenin from public squares and replace him with Nazi collaborator Stepan Bandera, whom he called and I'm quoting, scoundrel and a fascist. End quote. Speaking at a meeting with war correspondents on Tuesday, the president said he was surprised by how Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, who has Jewish heritage, see how much attention he pays, has Jewish heritage, could possibly support neo-Nazis. And I'm quoting, I just don't understand it, Putin said, pointing out that Nazis has been responsible for brutally slaughtering the country's civilian Jewish population. The Russian leader stated that, and I'm quoting, bastards like Bandera, end quote, have been put to a pedestal in Ukraine along with others like him, and that now there are people walking around with their posters. I never heard Putin talking like this. Bastards and all that, but that's more like Medvedev, but And I'm quoting again Putin. Well, if they don't want communism, God bless them, who want it these days. They're throwing the founder of Ukraine, remember here, founder of Ukraine, Lenin, off the pedestals. Okay, that's their business. That's good so far. But putting Bandera up in his place, he's a fascist, end quote, Putin stated. Putin stated that actually the Soviets created Ukraine. That's why he says Lenin, because it was Lenin who created actually and gave the first independence of the, I will be nice, modern state of Ukraine, even though there's no medieval state or a ancient state or a classical state. But anyway, it's not my business. All I know is that Ukraine has Romanian territories in it. and I will not say otherwise. The president reiterated that one of Russia's goals in launching its military operation last year was to, and I'm quoting, denazification, end quote, of Ukraine. He said Moscow and Kiev has ever reached a deal in March 2022 that Ukraine would introduce legislation to outlaw neo-Nazi movements in the country. Oh, they're not outlawed? More freedom than others, I guess? Other countries? However, as soon as Russia's forces pulled back from Kiev, the Zelensky administration immediately scrapped the agreement, Putin explained. Well, I didn't know that the Russians pulled their forces and then those guys scrapped the agreement. I have to look at the chronology of events, and if that's the case, I got another thing. Stepan Bandera, 1909-1959, was the head of this is according to Russia Today, okay, ultra-nationalist organization of Ukrainian nationalists. Nothing wrong with loving your country, unless you do stupid stuff, which was known for its radical anti-Semitic ideology and collaboration with Nazi forces. Now things don't get as, during World War II, the OUN's paramilitary wing, the Ukrainian Insurgent Army, UPA, was responsible for the death of tens of thousands of Poles and Jews in Ukraine. Remember Lvov? Lvov, hey, or Lviv, however you want to call it, and look at the Poles. They want it. That's theirs. Say thousands of Poles and some political figures. I will mention it in this right here in a second. Despite Bandera being internationally recognized as a Nazi collaborator, in 2010 Kiev declared him a national hero, and Ukrainian nationalists have regularly marked his birthday on January 1st with torch-lit marches and demonstrations across the country. Well, let's see here. Bandera. And this is what these guys say. Okay, nickname Baba. Aka Stefan Popel. So January 1st, 1909, 15 October 1959 was Ukrainian far-right leader of the radical military wing of Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists. So far, not good. Bandera was born in the Austro-Hungarian Empire in Galicia, into the family of a priest of Ukrainian Greek Orthodox Church. That means he was educated. Then those times, if you were born in a family of priests, you were educated, know how to read and all that, to write. Involved in a nationalist organization from young age. Now, obviously, the enemy of Ukraine would like to exterminate these guys that are intellectuals, like the Soviets did, the Soviet secret police did in the Katyn forest, remember, to the Poles' intelligentsia. 15 to 30,000 people were massacred over there to destroy their identity. And they know people that can teach them, hey, actually this and this. So Soviet Union, the communists, would create a new history. Remember 1984, George Orwell's? Exactly that. Bandera was convicted. Now this is where we got a problem with the Poles and his personal life. Bandera was convicted of terrorism and sentenced to death for his involvement in the 1934 assassination of the Polish Interior Minister Bronisław Pieracki. This guy was a Polish military officer and politician. So he was assassinated by, Bandera's involvement in this 1934. Okay, so Lviv. Do you think the Poles love Bandera? I don't think so. Bandera was freed from prison in 1939. How he was freed? Following the invasion of Poland. By whom? And moved to Krakow. I went to Krakow a few times. Beautiful town. He prepared the 1941 proclamation of the Ukrainian state, pledging to work with Deutschland über in der Welt. With these guys, after Germany invaded the Soviet Union on this. So he was released by the Germans to work for the Germans, to help Ukraine, right? And then guess, Ukraine and the Germans. The Germans disapproved of his proclamation, and for his refusal to rescind the decree, Bandera was arrested by the Gestapo now. He was released in 1944 by the Germans in hopes that he could fight the Soviet advance. After the war, Bandera settled with his family in West Germany. Oh my, in Germany, in West? Okay, in the Soviets, the communists, would have taken care of him. I know that for a fact. In 1959, Bandera was assassinated by a KGB agent in Munich. 1934 assassination, 1959 assassination, right? Correct. Well, this is Bandera remains a highly controversial figure in Ukraine. Many Ukrainians hailed him as a role model or hero, or as a martyred liberation fighter, while other Ukrainians, particularly in the south and east, the Russians, and not only condemn him as a fascist Nazi collaborator who was, together with his followers, responsible for massacres of Poles and Jewish civilians in the World War II. All right, my friends. Now, on January 22, 2010, the president of Ukraine, Viktor Yanushchenko, Yushchenko, this guy, Yushchenko, awarded Bandera the posthumous title of Hero of Ukraine, which was widely condemned, but I didn't give a fuck about it. The award was subsequently annulled in 2011. Now, you make your own, obviously, opinion on this and judgment. You can look deeper into it, but there's a lot of things that don't look good on him. First, assassinating, or at least being involved in the assassination and charged and convicted for assassination of a politician, Polish politician, and his bust, his thing is in Lvov. Now, I don't know if the Russians mentioned that just because of that or not. I don't know if they thought about that or not, but I can point it out to you and help you with that. Right? The second one, he was liberated by the Germans. He made his proclamation, collaborated with the Germans. The Germans did not like the proclamation, imprisoned him for what? For 3 years or something, and then released him. How do you release him? You pledge certain things. How do you think he was released? Fight the Soviets. I release you. What do you think the guy said? I'm going to be your guy. And I'm not going to be, you release me, give me that Walter, or give me the Walter, or give me the what? The PPK, or the Luger. Chup, boom, or click, boom. Is that how it is? He would immediately turn against the Germans. But nevertheless, he didn't. He went around the other guys. So where he did retreat? In Western Germany. I don't know. That's Ukrainians' history. They can do whatever they want. They can put whomever they want. But if you think the same way with the Ukrainians, then you should allow other countries and other nations to revere their former leaders. No? You know exactly what I mean. But nevertheless, these guys do not even allow to be the names that cannot be spoken. But over there, Bandera was an order of hero and all that. And it sounds a little bit strange. But I am for each country to venerate their own people. Why should I listen to what the Americans tell me about who I can venerate? Well, let's say the Hungarians. The Hungarians tell Romanians, you can't venerate that guy. Okay, then you can't venerate that guy. So, and they will say, okay, we're not going to venerate Kossuth, but you can't venerate, let's say, Marshal Antonescu. Or maybe, I don't know, what's his name, Avram Iancu. You can't venerate Avram Iancu, or other revolutionaries, Romanian revolutionaries, but we're not going to venerate Kossuth. Okay, no Kossuth, no this. What is going on? You venerate Kossuth how much you want. Hey, Kossuth and these guys were against the Romanians. Oh, that guy was against the Hungarians. What are we going to do now? Deny our histories because some people don't like it? Well, what are we going to do? And then comes Big Daddy, the big brother, United States. Excuse me, kids, you can't do that, you can't do that, but we are the defenders of freedom, liberty, and justice for all. You can't have that because I say so. Only the United States can have everything they want. Only. And if someone else tries, immediately the United States intervenes and, hey, I think you are. Hey, I think you are. How about you? I'm perfect. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.